In this video we're going to show how, if you want to have a lift bridge like this, that it will raise up and stay in place. On this particular bridge it's made of basswood and it's rather delicate, but most all bridges are in O-gauge. And if we're going to hinge that bridge and raise it up like this, the method I used originally was this bracket that would just come up and hold in place, and it would keep the bridge positioned open. But the problem is the bracket would end up breaking off a cross member on the bridge, so this is not a good system. We're going to make a system that allows this bridge to just remain held up in place when you lift it. When you hinge a bridge, you pick a spot where you're going to install the hinges so that the bridge will lift up like this, track and all. What's most important to remember is this center post right here on the hinge must be above the top of the railhead, because if it isn't, you'll bind the track up. But you can see with this above the railhead height, as we lift it, the track lifts away from the other piece. Make your bridge come down and fit into a socket somewhere without track, before you even put track on, so that the bridge always goes into the very same place when it's down. In this case, what I did was cut slots into the tabletop so that every time the bridge is lowered, these two pieces of the bridge always fit the same place. The bridge can't go this way and it can't go this way, so that guarantees you that the bridge is going to go down to the same spot every time. Only then do you put the track on and have the track attached to the bridge and to the tabletop so that there's very little gap. As you can see, this one opens and closes and settles in real good. Every time the bridge is lowered, it hits the same spot. So what we're going to do today is show how to attach very fine strings from here that will drop down through the layout, and we'll hang counterweights on the bottom of them that look like this. So that's what we're going to do, so let's get to work. These threads need to come from this point on the bridge down through holes here in the table. So we want to locate those holes parallel to the bridge, right in here and right back there. And the other location point that we want to consider is when the bridge is up like this, we want the thread to go straight down here behind this hinge, because that's what keeps it up and holds it in place. So we'll put a straight edge on here and measure back, let's say maybe 4 inches beyond the bridge, and we'll drill one hole right about here. And here is 4 inches beyond the hinge, another one we'll mark here. There. So we'll drill those holes. All right. There's the first one. Here's our mark there. Now, the drill I'm using for this is a flat spade bit. This is a 1/4 inch bit. It will make a hole about 1/4 of an inch. The brass tubes that we have are going to be 1/4 of an inch, but we're going to put a little bugle end on those brass tubes so that they won't drop all the way through the hole. Here's the products we're going to use on this job. A lot of this you can find in a hobby shop near you. This whole array here is a cyanoacrylate glue that comes in thick, medium, and thin, and it also comes in a debonder in case you get any on your fingers. Cyanoacrylate glue is the same thing as super glue, except that it doesn't set up until you spray it with this fixer bottle. So you can put the glue on, then spray it, and it will set the moment the spray hits it. So we'll use that to attach the thread to the bridge, which you'll see later. The other product we need is brass tubing. I got this K&S Engineering brass tubing at a hobby shop. This is an 1/8 inch diameter. It doesn't have to be an 1/8 inch diameter. It could be a little bit bigger. I just got an 1/8 because an 1/8 seems to work all right. And if you have it, this is a tube cutter. And a tube cutter will let you make a nice clean cut on the tube. If you don't have a tube cutter, you can use a hacksaw, but you have to smooth every cut that you make so that it won't cut the thread as it passes through that tube. What we need to do is cut off a piece of this tubing that will get us through the thickness of the train table smoothly so that the string can go down through there and not get caught. So I've measured off, about 2.5 inches, let's say, and we'll set this up and cut it. There we go. So you just go around like this, or twirl the tube in this case, and go in another turn and twirl it. Go in again. Just keep doing that till you work your way through the tube. There. So that's what the tube cut's going to look like, and you can see there is a sharp edge right there that we need to clean out. To do that, I'm going to use a countersink tool that you can get in the hardware store and a drill. We'll mount that into the drill. Okay. And this doesn't grab or chunk, so you ought to be able to hold on to this. And just put the tip of that countersink bit into here. And you can see it deburrs that nicely. Once that's done, the tip should look like that. Now what you're seeing here is a nice smooth bell opening to this brass ferrule. You need to be sure and do that to both sides of the tube. So let's go around even to the factory cut here, and we'll do this again. There. That's the finished look we want to have. So we'll make 2 of these and take that out to the job site. Now the bridge is going to be held by some black thread that, as I'll show you later, this is a button thread, a very heavy button thread. The bridge I'm trying to suspend with this is very lightweight, so this should be plenty. But if you have a heavier bridge, consider this a fly fishing line. I got this at Walmart, and this is a 20-pound pull. So it's hardly visible. It won't show up on your layout much at all, but it'll hold up 40 pounds on 2 threads. That'll be more than you'll need. Well, all right, we've got our pieces. Let's gather up our materials, and we'll go into the layout and install it on this bridge. Here's our brass tubes. As you can see, what we have done is we have ferruled out the tips so that there's a little bit of a bugle end there. We'll put the first tube right here in this hole. As you can see, he fits smoothly into the 1/4-inch hole, and the bugle end keeps it from dropping through. Here's our brass ferrule, and it goes in the hole like this, but we're going to add a drop of CA glue just so it doesn't go anywhere else, and it'll stay right there. There we go. So the first thing we need to do is pick a spot on the bridge, and it may be that the bridge you have weighs a great deal and doesn't look like this one. All you need to do is pick some point at the end of the bridge where you can tie this or maybe drill a hole and spot it on. But on this bridge, I see it's going to be very easy to tie it around this brace so that it holds on to it here. So we'll tie that, put it in place, put a drop of CA glue on it to keep it from moving around, and then we'll drop it down through here. So the first thing let's do is get our tie on there. And when you're doing this, don't worry about whether or not it looks very clean, because we'll trim the knot and everything later. And ultimately, we'll move that around to the outside like that and let it pass down through there. Just like that. So right now, let's get some CA glue. We'll spot that, and then we'll drop it down through here, and we'll trim the thread off. Well, there. Now we've got the thread threaded down through the brass tube. Now we're ready to go below the table, and on the end of the thread, we're going to take this piece of dowel rod right here, wrap the string around it, and tie it off, and we'll put a spot of super glue to hold the knot, and then we'll put that through some counterweights. So the weights will hang on the end of the string, and we'll pull the bridge up and hold it in place. What I'm using for counterweights are just some big washers I got at the hardware store. This may be enough, it may take more. You can use anything you want. Let's go underneath here and finish up the installation. Well, here's our strings, so we'll grab this one and we'll wrap it 2 or 3 times around like that just to give it a better grip, and then we're going to tie a knot. And once the knot's tied, then we'll put a spot of super glue on it to hold the knot in place. There's one. Let's do it again. Okay. Now we'll just put a little dab of super glue on that so that the knot doesn't come undone. There we go. There. Here's our counterweights. Now we just thread this dowel through like that and let the weights hang on the string. There. Let's put the second set on. And it doesn't make any difference if it's separate lengths. All we need is the overall weight pulling on the bridge. There's our 2 sets of weights. Let's see if that's enough to keep the bridge up and we move it up out of the way. All right, well, let's see how this turned out. We've got our weights on. Let's lift the bridge. Oh, great. Holds up fine. Now you can add or adjust the weights or take some away as it's needed. Like right now, this seems to want to hold in place right there. So it could be that I could take 1 or 2 washers off. But that's because this is a lightweight bridge. You may use a heavier bridge and do this same trick. In that event, don't rely on the heavy-duty button thread that I've got. Go get some monofilament line or fly fishing line with a higher tensile strength, because you'll need much more weight for that bridge.